food system is a three-dimensional value chain, and somebody, a livestock farmer or a crop farmer who produces a food produce, is also relying on a lot of input and service suppliers. For example, I'm a smallholder chicken farmer. I need someone to supply me with the day-old chicks. Then I need to have a space where I buy my chicken feeds. I need a vet advising me on the vaccination of my chicken. Then when I'm done feeding and fattening my chickens, I need to have access to a market. So I need to have someone who's going to buy the chicken from me at a good price. And then, of course, part of the food system is also the processing. What happens after the trader bought my chickens? They are going to go to the market, they're sold as live chickens, or they're going to be slaughtered and sold in butcheries, or someone is slaughtering them at home, then they are cooked and mixed with vegetables. So all of this is a food system. Anything that's involved in production up to processing and consumption of our food. There are three major challenges. One is climate change, two is the population growth in Africa, and three are the diseases. And I think in terms of climate change, what we see now in East Africa, you know, the weather, it's so extreme. In some areas of Kenya, we had a drought. Then suddenly we had flooding in some areas, but not others. So I think it's very hard for agriculture to adapt to those changes very quickly. So the second problem I mentioned was population growth. So Africa's population is projected to grow fast in the next 3 decades. And all these people want to eat. So we need to find, even looking at climate change and all these challenges, we need to look at how to make the systems more efficient. And then diseases. It's also partly related to climate change, but it's also related to intensification. So every intervention we make to make these food systems more efficient, we have to consider that they might come at a trade-off. So we always have to balance, you know, the benefits and the risks. Three things that can accelerate the transformation of food systems in Africa. In my opinion, these are acknowledging the informal markets and slowly transforming them. So much of the foods, be it fruit or vegetables or animal source foods in Africa, they're marketed through the mama mbogas and the informal food traders. So these people need to be equipped with skills, they need to be acknowledged by the systems, and slowly these systems need to be transformed into the formal sector. Then I think universal and better access to animal health care can help. The extension service in East Africa, the veterinary extension service, is under-resourced. There are very few veterinarians. Those veterinarians have to look after a lot of animals, and so the agricultural extension service is actually very expensive, either for the government or for the farmer who has to pay for that service. So involving the private sector here, I think, could make a big difference. Yeah, and thirdly, maybe consider that the East African food systems, they supply the domestic consumer and the regional consumer. So like we buy pineapple from Uganda to eat them here in Kenya. So to really help making these value chains more efficient, like encourage the trade within the East African market. So it's easier to redistribute food, you know. If you have a drought, food insecurity in northern Kenya, make it easier to bring food from maybe other East African community countries to these parts. So I think these are some of the things that I would consider in transforming the food systems and make them more efficient.